Hollywood hotshot Mickey Rourke is the toast of the 80s, hailed as the next James Dean.
Mickey was a heartthrob in the 80s. Every girl was in love with him. He had that smirk that made girls just go wild.
But soon Mickey's on-screen bad boy attitude overflows into his real life, and no one wants to touch him.
This guy was actually bringing Hell's Angels. At one point, I think he brought 18 Hell's Angels to the set as his bodyguards.
He's going to destroy it because he is a very self-destructive individual.
With a strong personality that defies authority and a need for control often fueled by jealousy, Mickey doesn't play nice in the sandbox.
There was a lot of men ending up in the hospital with Mickey's fist.
It's always going to be known that Mickey Rourke had a criminal history. Not necessarily going to jail, not necessarily being convicted, but he has this bad stuff, if you will, in his past.
Rourke's rising star falls hard and burns into oblivion. To a celebrity, image is everything. And when that image is destroyed, can it be rebuilt? You be the judge. Celebrity Damage Control. When Mickey Rourke becomes an actor in Hollywood, the audience adores his quirky yet sexy persona. Whether he has a bit part in a film or is part of an ensemble cast, Mickey seems to rise to the top like cream, and everyone wants more. But Mickey turns down major film roles and seems to seek out a volatile and slightly crazed image, both on-screen and off. His relationships are marred with enraged jealousy, and directors and actors in Hollywood are afraid to work with him. Then, in July 1994, Mickey is charged with spousal abuse and faces a year in jail. He leaves Hollywood and returns to his earlier amateur boxing career with devastating results. Mickey's face, image, and life seem to be in shambles, but he's determined to climb out of the hole he's dug and begin the damage repair.
I'm gonna go visit some really dark, painful places that aren't particularly fun to go to.
Mickey Rourke comes by his bad boy image honestly. Hanging out around the mean streets of Liberty City, Florida is ample training ground for Mickey's tough guy persona. But his life begins in the early 50s in Schenectady, New York. His parents have a very volatile relationship, and when Mickey is 6 years old, his mother Ann decides it's over. After the divorce, Ann uproots Mickey, his little brother Joey, and his sister Patricia, bringing them to South Florida in search of a better life. Mickey takes it hard.
When you look at it psychologically, here's a person who's not only just torn away from his father, even though it was a difficult relationship, but also torn away from the things that are very familiar to him. And of course, we also have to look at that there may have been some psychological damage from the conflicts between mother and father, never really addressed, and now you add on the extra layer of the trauma of being on the mean streets of Florida.
Ann remarries to Gene Addis, a tough, hulking Miami cop with 5 kids of his own. They'll later have another child together, but this blended family is no Brady Bunch.
Well, we know that Mickey not only was his biological father, quite an imposing figure on him, but same thing happened with his stepfather. And we know that his stepfather slapped him around quite a bit.
Mickey's relationship with his mother suffers.
The idea that Mickey Rourke is able to identify that he does have a resentment towards his mother for not protecting him is pretty insightful. Lots of people never get to that place. That the idea that mother as an image or as any kind of icon is sacred. So it would be more likely that he would, oh, my mother did the best she could, she did everything she possibly could for us, rather than for him to get to a place that, no, she was supposed to protect us and she didn't.
Mickey grows from a sensitive, scared kid into an angry one.
When we look at behavior in children, of course, we look at inherited behaviors. That's part of the biology. But we also have to look at the direct sorts of behaviors that children see. So many times, fathers, whether they want to or not, become the role models for children. So it is not a coincidence that Mickey Rourke becomes this very physical character, this very macho character, because this is what has been modeled for him throughout his life.
Mickey finds a way to channel the frustration and anger he feels at home. He takes up self-defense at the Northwest Boys Club of Miami, a community center designed to keep boys like Mickey out of trouble.
He was a kid who was in many ways abused, physically, emotionally, and was not allowed to be a boy. So now he can reclaim that manhood, can be much more empowered by joining this boxing gym.
At the age of 12, Mickey gets serious about an amateur boxing career. He trains at the storied 5th Street Gym, where he rubs shoulders with the greats, including his idol, Muhammad Ali.
Lots of children who are in unstable or abusive situations look for something outside of the home. In Mickey Rourke's case, he seemed to have found a home at the 5th Street Gym. There were probably other men there who mentored him, who were role models for him. It would feel good to him to box and just having people pay attention.
He walks into the 5th Street Gym and right away on the wall is you see the names of boxing legends. And next to the names of boxing legends are musical legends like the Beatles and Frank Sinatra. So here he goes, he walks into this gym and there's Ali. Lights, camera, action. You've got reporters there, you've got celebrities there, and he sees a way out.
Around 112 pounds, bantamweight Mickey has a long way to go, but he shows early promise, winning his first fight as a 12-year-old. Mickey also shares a fierce bond with his younger brother, Joey. Mickey takes on the role of protector. His fight training comes in handy.
There's a story that Mickey's revealed that when his brother was really young, his brother Joey, he had 5 boys who beat up on him, and Mickey told his brother, I'm gonna get them. And a year later, Mickey reveals to his brother, hey, I took care of them, and the brother was in complete shock.
Mickey really felt that he had to protect his younger siblings, and he had a real bond with his younger brother. Because Mickey couldn't protect him in the home, Mickey felt, well, you know what? If I can't do this at home, I will compensate. I will overcompensate and do this on the streets, in the schools, whatever I can do for you. This is where Mickey felt in control, could be that macho guy, but also could be a loving older brother.
It's also around this time he gets interested in acting and appears in his first play. But Mickey's heart and soul are in the boxing ring.
For Mickey Rourke, his amateur career was simply a means to an end. He had enough talent in order to be recognized, but not enough talent to make it big, but he was able to hang with the big dogs, and his amateur record was used to showcase what he can do.
From 1964 to 1973, he reportedly earns a record of 27 victories, with an incredible 17 wins by knockout and only 3 defeats. It's claimed his fastest knockout is 18 seconds. And at one point, he earns 12 consecutive first-round knockouts. Mickey's victories don't come without consequences. In 1969, he faces the #1 middleweight, Luis Rodriguez.
He's building himself up as an amateur, dreaming of being a professional fighter, and he's in the ring sparring with some of the best. And at that time, Luis Rodriguez was on his way to a championship, and it was lights out. He got knocked out by Luis Rodriguez.
Mickey ends up with a concussion. He recovers and gets back into the ring.
Today, we're all about concussions and the impact that has on fighters. That wasn't the case back in those days. You got knocked out, shake it off, get back in the ring.
2 years later, Mickey receives an even worse blow to the head. Doctors tell him to take a year off.
The one thing that you did have back in those days, though, was something being called punch drunk. And if you have a career and aspirations of doing more than boxing, what you want to avoid is becoming punch drunk. So as soon as Mickey Rourke did have successive concussions, he realized it was time for him to hang up the gloves.
Mickey doesn't have a backup plan. He does everything from picking up bullet casings at a firing range, to a valet at fancy hotels, to a pool boy. He also creates his own jobs. Mickey is recruited and paid by some kids to drive them into Liberty City for drugs.
Mickey's first job as a gangster was taking these rich kids on the other side of the track to take care of their business, as I like to say. And you know, these kids didn't actually want to go alone, and Mickey was there to pick up the slack for them and go with them and represent them across the tracks. And one day, things didn't go exactly as he planned. Mickey was packing a small gun and he encountered some people who had larger weapons, and let's just say the situation really scared him.
Going from dangerous to mindless jobs and disappointed from his crushed dreams of a pro boxing career, Mickey doesn't know what to do with himself. But then, in a lucky break, a friend offers him a part in a play he's directing at the University of Miami. The original actor dropped out. Since he has nothing better to do, Mickey takes on the role. The acting bug bites him hard, and it looks like New York is calling. Mickey Rourke is feeling lost after 2 serious concussions forced the 19-year-old to put his boxing dreams on hold. Mickey retires his gloves and decides to seriously pursue an acting career. He takes off for New York around 1975 with $400 from his sister.
Once Mickey realized his amateur boxing career is over, he caught the acting bug.
He works 2 to 3 jobs at a time. Mickey needs the money to pay for private lessons from Sandra Seacat, a celebrated teacher at the famed Actor Studio, founded by legendary director Elia Kazan. Sandra is teaching Mickey to connect with a character by tapping into his own emotional life.
Mickey, at some point, let go of the fight game. He was a pretty good fighter, but let go of that and decided to find a new passion. I mean, you could say anything you want about Mickey Rourke, but he is a passionate guy.
Sandra found out later that Mickey would basically starve himself for 2 or 3 days so he could pay her.
First it was the boxing and being the tough guy, but now it's about the acting and giving body and soul, almost to the point of damaging himself physically. You don't starve yourself in order to do something like this. But this was the perfect vehicle. This is where his insanity actually worked for him and made him a great actor.
Mickey's determined to study at the Actor Studio, and Sandra's guidance is just the ticket.
So Mickey's preparing for his audition for the Actor Studio, and he's preparing a scene for the cat on the hot tin roof, and he's actually struggling with this scene. So Sandra advises to Mickey to, get in contact with his biological father, because the scene actually has to do with a son and father figure, and Mickey was just having a tough time connecting to this role.
Mickey's audition is coming up in 2 days. He hasn't seen his father in around 17 years.
So Mickey decides to go back home to Schenectady. Now, this is where he grew up. He finds the local joint that he used to go with his father and enjoy burgers with each other. So he goes to the burger joint, he's soaking up all the atmosphere, and then he realized there's a man sitting in front of him, and it kind of looked familiar to him. Although he couldn't see his face, from the behind, it seemed so close to home. So Mickey finally gets up, goes up to the man and says, "Are you Philip Rourke?" And the man turns to him with sunglasses on and says, "I knew you'd come back."
And it's such an emotional time. It offers such a breakthrough in perhaps all of the demons and all of the issues that he had with this father. And just that catharsis, letting that energy, negative, positive energy out and interacting with his father. Well, the next day, Mickey goes in to audition. And Kazan, who's tough as nails, says, "You know what? This is the best audition I've seen in the past 30 years.
Out of thousands of applicants, Mickey is one of 5 accepted.
When Mickey Rourke went to the Actor Studio in New York and got in on the first time, that was such a huge deal. Harvey Keitel, I think it was more than 10 times before he got in. So Mickey Rourke had something really special to offer.
At the Actor Studio, Mickey works with the likes of Kazan, Scorsese, and Pacino. He stands out as a gifted actor, despite clashing with the studio's director, Lee Strasberg.
So up to this point, Mickey seems to be making all the right moves, and it looks like he's gonna hit the grand slam and keep on moving. But as we often see with individuals who have too much power, too much fame, too much adulation, just too much too soon, perhaps they're not ready emotionally for what it is that they have, for those incredible gifts. And what Mickey does is what we see with so many others in that kind of a place. They begin to regress. So when Lee Strasberg says to him, listen, this is what you need to do, Mickey gets pissed, walks out of there, quits.
But Mickey's falling out with the studio doesn't really impact his career. He'd already landed a part in Steven Spielberg's film, 1941. But it's his minor part as an arsonist in Body Heat that makes a major impression on Hollywood.
When Mickey Rourke did Body Heat, he was the sensitive arsonist. He had this way about him that was soft and caring and sweet, but he was giving people advice on how to blow people up. He was only in two very, very short scenes in this movie, but he stood out so much. This is really where his career shot forward. Mickey Rourke had something very special, and he had it.
Just before the film comes out in 1981, Mickey meets actress Deborah Fewer on the set of another movie.
And this is before Mickey actually made it big. He has a small role in this movie, big movie actually, Hard Case, starring Deborah Fewer, who's this big star, and he was smitten by her. He knew from the first date that he wanted to marry her.
Mickey proposes 6 months into the relationship. Deborah is 21, Mickey is 24.
So they've been dating for 6 months, and Mickey asked Deborah to marry him, and she said no because she didn't really feel like they were ready to get married. But a year later, Mickey asked her to marry her again and says, marry me or I'm out of your life.
This time, Deborah says yes.
Now, some might say that's a stroke of genius, or that's part of that charismatic Mickey Rourke persona. But as a psychologist, I see that as an individual who now is in desperation, who sees things in black and white. And quite often, that leads you to a path of destruction because you're not thinking. It's all on impulse. And some of the worst decisions are made in that mindset.
Once Body Heat hits the theaters, offers for bigger, juicier parts start flooding in. But Mickey does something most ambitious actors in his situation would never consider.
Then this guy who just got out of abject poverty decides to start turning down major movies. He turned down Pulp Fiction, The Big Chill, Highlander, Tombstone, Platoon. The list just goes on and on and on. Instead, he's choosing these really artsy movies. He wants it to be deep. He wants to think of himself as kind of a sex symbol, I suppose. I think he saw himself in that persona and he started going in that direction, and he wanted the deeper, artier film, which wasn't usually the best box office choice.
In Barry Levinson's 1982 movie Diner, Mickey manages to get noticed once again, even among the amazing ensemble cast.
Mickey was a heartthrob in the 80s. Every girl was in love with him. He had that smirk that made girls just go wild.
A number of other films follow, containing some of Hollywood's soon-to-be elite stars. Whether the films are hits or not, Mickey's performances seem to draw rave reviews from critics. Mickey Rourke is now a bona fide name, making his mark playing smooth-talking tough guys. Deborah and Mickey live in a beautiful mansion in Hollywood Hills, replete with a pony stable. Their 3 dogs round out their family.
When Deborah and Mickey had gotten married, one of his major vices was smoking tobacco, cigarettes. But as the time wore on and Mickey became a bigger star and hanging out with other people in Hollywood, fell into a very dark place where now he went to other drugs, alcohol, a lot of cocaine, and then to add insult to injury, wasn't even home for his wife, Deborah, and this led to the demise of their marriage.
Mickey can't stand Deborah performing with other men and wants her to leave the industry.
So even though this was something that was amazing, this relationship that he and Deborah had, like everything else that we begin to see with Mickey, everything he touched turned from gold into crap. So he had this overwhelming, insane jealousy towards Deborah. This is a clear sign of a person who's totally insecure and has no real sense of ego or who they are.
While Mickey worries about Deborah's on-screen romances, he chooses a role that catapults him into sex symbol status. 9.5 Weeks is a kinky erotic drama co-starring Kim Basinger.
Some of these scenes in this movie were so over the top, especially the refrigerator scene with the food. I mean, it was actually mimicked in the movie Hot Shots. That's how popular this scene was. But this film actually proved Mickey Rourke to be a phenomenal actor. His sexual confidence was displayed in this film, so it really put him on the map.
9.5 Weeks is mainly panned by critics and a box office failure in North America in 1986. But around the world, it causes a sensation. Mickey has become an international star. After 9.5 Weeks, Mickey earns raves for movies like Angel Heart and Barfly in 1987. It's during Angel Heart that Mickey starts acting out more severely. He earns a rep as an actor who torments directors and producers.
The director of Angel Heart, Alan Parker, revealed that Mickey Rourke is so dangerous to work with. I mean, you just don't know what's gonna come out of this guy on set.
When he's at his best, critics compare Mickey to James Dean and Marlon Brando. But off-screen, his personal life is suffering. He and Deborah star together in Homeboy in 1988. The film, a very personal story about an aging, self-defeating boxer, is also Mickey's first turn as a screenwriter.
So they're in a movie together called Homeboy, and there's just no chemistry between these two. It's sort of the case of art imitating life.
A year later, in 1989, Deborah files for divorce.
Deborah wanted to try marriage counseling, but Mickey was just not that type of guy. Deborah revealed that their marriage actually failed because of neglect and not infidelity.
But when the divorce is final, Mickey lands both a role and a relationship that is about to take him on a wild ride. In the 80s, Mickey Rourke is on the fast track to superstardom, but the famous Hellraiser seems hell-bent on self-destruction.
As Mickey Rourke got bigger, his ego got bigger, his partying got bigger, his attitude got bigger. Everything was just OTT, over the top for him.
Addiction is often described as a disease of more. It's never enough, and it grows. Unless you do something to shift it in the other direction, it's not going to get better, it'll only get worse.
Mickey's career choices also continue to be questionable.
Dustin Hoffman calls Mickey Rourke to offer the role in Rain Man. This is the same role that Tom Cruise played in. And Mickey Rourke just forgets to call him back. Who forgets to call Dustin Hoffman back?
He's said to have turned down roles in The Untouchables, Platoon, and others including Silence of the Lambs.
A lot of these were really good films that would have propelled his career, but he chooses Wild Orchid. This is where Mickey Rourke sees himself as a sex symbol. These films that he's starting to do are a little over the top with their sex scenes. They're still mainstream films, but they're just not the box office hits they should be for his career.
The 1989 picture Wild Orchid is another erotic film, now something of a brand for the 37-year-old Mickey Rourke.
One of the films, kind of erotic movie that Mickey makes, Wild Orchid, has a star, a bona fide star, a young woman by the name of Carrie Otis. Now, Carrie Otis is a young woman who ends up coming from the streets herself, a lot like Mickey. She's had drug issues in the past, she's a runaway, and goes from the streets to walking the runways as a beauty in Paris. So they are instantly attracted to one another. I mean, really like fireworks right away. And it's not surprising at all, because they see each other's pain and they feel that they can be that self-medication for one another.
This was an explosive relationship, and a lot of people say that it was kind of the end of Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke continues to turn down great roles. He turned out 48 Hours, it went to Nick Nolte, and several other movies of that caliber. He starts doing these really dark films. It's almost as if he's taken on the persona of his character in Barfly, and his career is starting to suffer for it. He's not the box office draw he used to be.
Mickey takes some time off from acting, waiting for a project he feels is worthy of his talents. Meanwhile, his spending is getting out of hand.
At one point, Mickey Rourke was just burning through money. He was buying 6 Cadillacs by cash and just giving it away to people. His accountant sat him down and was like, you need to start working. You are burning through all your money.
Mickey's very vocal about his disillusionment with show business, saying it settles for mediocrity.
This was an individual who really liked to bite the hand that fed him. Here's a guy who's going to insult the whole profession, who has everything at his disposal, but he's going to destroy it because he is a very self-destructive individual, a person who really, deep down inside, doesn't feel that he deserves everything that he's earned, and he doesn't deserve to be there.
Mickey decides to take a break from acting and returns to Miami, to the place where he feels he most belongs, the 5th Street Gym. Mickey starts training again.
With Mickey, it's always about the extreme. So what he did was a very positive thing. How do you get that self-discipline back? Go back to the 5th Street Gym. Go back to where you had success as a boxer and could be a Puritan and can stay off the drugs and alcohol and get up early and train and get that self-discipline.
Addicts do better if they have a schedule, they do better if they have a job, they do better if they have expectations and accountability. And whether he knew it or not, that may be what the 5th Street Gym provided him.
This time, he's going pro. For his debut fight in 1991, Mickey makes a humiliating $250.
Honestly, I think in the boxing circles, not too many people took Mickey Rourke seriously when he became a professional boxer. Some fighters have it, and some fighters are looking to be recognized. And for Mickey Rourke, that was something in order to keep his name in the spotlight so that he stayed relevant.
That's what he needed, that's what he got, and he did well. It turned Mickey around, but only for a certain period of time.
He still takes on the occasional acting role for money, but he's an insurance risk for studios, and they're just plain nervous.
People were afraid to work with him. This guy was actually bringing Hell's Angels. At one point, I think he brought 18 Hell's Angels to the set as his bodyguards, which intimidated the other actors, and directors didn't want to tell him he was doing a bad job.
So in the 90s, Carrie and Mickey are living together, and so is Mickey's entourage. These are some tough guys. They've got guns around, no real safety going on in this house. Carrie at this point is a full-blown heroin addict, and there was no supervision going around. It was just a big mess.
In the fall of '91, the media reports that Carrie, while visiting Mickey on location, shot herself when a gun in her purse accidentally discharged. Carrie says the incident spurs a breakup.
So Carrie and Mickey are separated at this time, and Mickey is desperately trying to win Carrie back, and he begs her to meet up with him. So she decides to go to meet up with Mickey in this parking lot. And I don't know what she was expecting to see in her head, but what happened next is not what she planned.
Mickey proposes marriage. Carrie says she needs time to think.
He also throws in, if you don't marry me, Carrie, I'm going to commit Harry Carey. I'm going to kill myself with a sword. And it works. Yet again, another ultimatum that works.
The couple marries in 1992. Where he tried to control his first wife, Deborah, Mickey positively stifles Carrie.
Whereas with his first wife, Mickey was obsessive and jealous. With his second wife now, Carrie Otis, he's just completely over the top. At some point, he sends a couple of goons to intimidate one of the photographers who took her picture, and the photographer is known as being gay. Now that's where you go over the line completely, and Carrie Otis now knows that she's in deep, deep trouble and has a guy who may not just be emotionally disturbed, but may have some real personality issues.
Mickey's temper grows progressively more violent.
Carrie says that Mickey was beating up any guy that would talk to her. And Mickey, in his defense, said he was only beating up the guys that she got high with. In any case, there was a lot of men ending up in the hospital with Mickey's fist.
Mickey can't stay out of trouble. In January 1994, he has a brush with police after a noisy disturbance outside his nightclub in South Beach. The officers accuse Mickey of verbally assaulting them with obscenities. He's charged with 2 misdemeanors for resisting arrest.
It's a very smart thing for a judge to actually try to help society, help underprivileged children, and also help Mickey Rourke at the same time. What you have here is minor infractions by Mickey Rourke, and you also have a underprivileged home that needs development, needs nurturing, needs caring, needs someone like a Mickey Rourke, a superstar, to come in and help. So the judge, in his wisdom, which I think was brilliant, decided to actually have Mickey Rourke go into this home, help them with boxing, and in consideration of which he actually dropped the charges.
Mickey may have gotten lucky in court, but it doesn't win him any points with his wife. Carrie finally decides she's had enough, and the couple separates again. By July '94, Mickey has lost his wife, his friends, and his money. A bank forecloses on his Hollywood Hills home.
Unfortunately, Mickey sank into this deep depression, but the fortunate side to this is he realized that he needs help.
Mickey checks himself into an LA hospital for suicidal thoughts. They hold him for observation for 29 hours. When he gets out, things get worse instead of better. Carrie accuses her husband of abusing her. Mickey Rourke finds himself facing criminal charges and a possible year in the slammer. By the 1990s, Mickey Rourke, once Hollywood's favorite bad boy, is depressed and alone, and he's about to hit rock bottom. He's released from an LA hospital after being held under observation for 29 hours for suicidal thoughts.
Shortly after Mickey is released from the hospital, he ends up bumping into his estranged wife at their publicist's office, which is, they share, and let's just say it wasn't a pleasant meeting.
In July 1994, Carrie alleges that Mickey slapped her, pushed her to the ground, and kicked her. The city attorney tells the press that she's bruised. Mickey is arrested and charged with spousal battery. If convicted, he could spend up to a year in jail. But when the court case comes around, Carrie is a no-show.
So despite the fact that Mickey Rourke's wife at the time actually told prosecutors and told the police that she was physically abused, without her being willing to testify at trial, there's a huge hole in the prosecution. Without the victim, there's no case that can be brought.
Carrie, whose career has found renewed success on the runway, feels Mickey is stalking her. Fashion show guards are ordered to keep their eyes peeled for him and keep him away.
Even though Mickey denied that he was stalking his ex-wife, there was a lot of allegations against him. I mean, the press was having a field day with this. The headlines read, "Mickey Rourke gives his ex-wife the heebie-jeebies."
Undeterred by Carrie's attempts to keep him away, Mickey desperately clings to the hope of reconciliation. In 1995, they get back together.
One of the things that's very hard for people to understand is in abusive relationships, ending the cycle, it seems like a simple thing. Well, why doesn't she just leave if it's a horrible thing? It's not that easy for people. There's emotional entanglements, and the idea that they would live without this person is very confusing to them. It's almost like a drug because, sure, the heroin is damaging and it's life-threatening and it's risky, but for some reason, I just can't stop using it.
We're looking at what's called codependency. People who have some sort of positive reinforcement that they give one another for their very destructive behaviors. They stay together because even though it's wrong, they meet each other's needs, again, in a very bad place.
Things got to the point to where even his nightclub in Miami, Mickey's, had to change its name to XTC because he was not much of a draw and people just didn't care about him anymore. And what was happening now is Mickey was becoming what he always feared, completely irrelevant.
Mickey finds solace in his pro boxing career. By his second year of boxing, he's earning $1 million a year.
Mickey Rourke did the smart thing. He went back to boxing. He was doing what he loved, he was doing what he was good at, and he made over $1 million with it. So it was smart for Mickey Rourke to go back to that.
But his body pays a heavy price.
Psychologically, we also have to look at those blows that Mickey was getting, the body blows, the broken bones, getting his face smashed in that way, in some ways was very addictive. Because remember, it took the pain away from the emotion and put it to the physical. And in this way, I truly believe that Mickey Rourke became addicted to the punishing blows. In some ways, it was the punishment that he needed for being such a bad boy and needed to pay for a lot of the bad things he did out there.
Yes, he had a good record, but he was getting pretty beaten up. Then he started having to have facial reconstructive surgery. He had his nose reshaped a couple of times. He had reconstructive surgery on his cheekbone. And he started doing a little bit more. And though some of these things he denies, it's pretty obvious he's had a couple of facelifts. The problem was he didn't have the money for these surgeries. So he went to not the best plastic surgeons you can find in Beverly Hills. This guy, such a shame. He was such a heartthrob. This guy was amazing. He was gorgeous as James Dean, and he became kind of a monster.
Surgeons used cartilage from his ear to rebuild his nose. He has 5 nose surgeries. Despite major facial reconstruction, his looks are ruined forever. In 1995, after 5 years of fighting, neurological problems forced Mickey to give up his boxing career for good. His equilibrium has never fully returned. By retirement, he's had 8 undefeated bouts, but far short of his goal of 16 pro fights. Meanwhile, Mickey continues to surround himself with a dubious crowd, from the Hells Angels to other notorious show business bad boys. And then comes the knockout punch. In 1998, Carrie divorces Mickey for good.
Despite everything Mickey Rourke went through in his life, he considers losing his wife the worst thing he had ever gone through.
With no income, he makes a decision to return to acting, but he's burned every bridge in Hollywood.
So Mickey decided to do some soul searching. He actually saw a psychotherapist that he saw 3 or 4 times a week, and he actually befriended a priest who actually helped save his life because at that point he was about to commit suicide.
As low as Mickey had sunk, he finds one person in Hollywood who still believes in him.
So then he's living in LA again, and he's living in this little $500 a month apartment, and he only can afford that because he's got a beneficiary, a friend that's in the business that's giving him money every month. One of his neighbors is a casting agent, and she introduces him to her friend David Unger. So David Unger takes Mickey on and is now his manager and his agent. He introduces him to Robert Rodriguez, who gave him a role in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and several other films.
Knowing his earlier reputation and eager to return to acting and a paycheck, a whole new Mickey emerges.
So Mickey Rourke is still doing small roles, but in really big budget films. But the difference now is Mickey Rourke is humble, he's taking direction, he's doing what he's told, and he's grateful.
In 2004, Mickey faces a personal setback, losing one of his greatest sources of strength during the dark times. His brother Joey succumbs to cancer at the age of 50. Mickey has Joey's name tattooed onto his finger.
Joey dying, in some ways, it was a loss of a battle, not just for Joey, but also for Mickey, because Mickey's lifelong ambition, the thing that he really thought he had control of, was taking care of his little brother, and now couldn't do it. So Mickey, I think at this point, realizes that life is precious, and you have to live every day of it with verve and goodness. And for Mickey, this may have been what he needed to take him in a more positive direction.
The big break comes when director Robert Rodriguez casts him as a hitman in 2005's Sin City. Critics and audiences take notice. The role garners Mickey 5 awards, and Total Film magazine names him their Man of the Year. Also in 2005, Mickey plays a bounty hunter in Tony Scott's Domino. While it seems Mickey is creating a new image for himself, he slips up. In 2007, he's arrested for a DUI.
You look at his mugshot, he's smiling in it. This guy looks like he's been rode hard and put away wet. It looks awful. This is a guy who for the past few years has worked really, really, really hard to come back. People were believing in him. He was dependable, he was humble, and then he goes and pulls a number like this. It's very, very easy to ruin your reputation in one moment. It takes 10 years to build it up, and just one of these moments to completely blow it up.
But the DUI proves to be just a hiccup in what appears to be Mickey's personal and professional comeback, and his biggest triumph is yet to come. Mickey Rourke seems to be battling his demons in a quest to return to acting. After winning film and critic awards for his performance in the movie Sin City, it seems that Mickey may once again be a Hollywood player.
Mickey Rourke is like the cat with 9 lives. He keeps coming back, and he works really, really hard. He has great people on his side, and he's just getting stronger than ever. He's done some great movies, and he's behaving himself as much as Mickey Rourke can behave himself.
Then his agent calls to tell him that director Darren Aronofsky wants to meet with him. Darren offers Mickey the title role in The Wrestler. The director also says he won't be able to pay him.
When Mickey got the role in the movie The Wrestler, it was tough for him. He was really broke, but he knew this was his last chance, so he had to get back in the gym and train. He had to prepare really well for this film because this was it for him.
The movie almost couldn't get made with Mickey as the star. No one wanted to touch it, but Darren knew the role belonged to Mickey.
There are addicts who reach a point of exhaustion. It's very possible that he just sort of surrendered. It's very interesting to see that there are certain people who will find the person that will connect with them in such a way that they can actually hear something. In this case, Darren Aronofsky seemed to provide that kind of stability for him. He laid down the law, he gave him very clear, simple messages and expectations, and told him the consequences if he stepped out of line.
Darren, knew how to push Mickey's buttons to get him going in this film. When he knew that Mickey wasn't giving enough, he would call him a wimp, and that was what Mickey needed to get into that role and to be able to give his best performance.
It was a combination of going, saying, okay, I'm going to put on 28 pounds of muscle, and then I'm going to go visit some really dark, painful places that aren't particularly fun to go to. And the way he handled it, there was a lot of trust and a lot of respect on both ends, and I was able to give him everything, and it made me really feel good about doing what I do for a living.
Nothing will get an addict loaded faster than guilt, shame, regret, and remorse, which were common themes in that movie, about the comeback, about what didn't happen because you blew your chance. And so I think that it was probably a really difficult thing for him to actually follow through with. And he did have the support of the director, which was great, and was probably why he did well with it.
Mickey's performance in The Wrestler garners him a Golden Globe for Best Actor in a Motion Picture Drama in 2009. And he's nominated for an Academy Award.
Mickey Rourke credits sports for his success. He knows it ain't over till it's over, and you could always come up from behind. But at the same time, he knows himself that, this is it. He can't get any more second chances.
Today, Mickey has managed to control his anger. He has taken direction. He's worked really, really hard. His image is being cleaned up. But one of the things that he's done that has almost endeared him to people is he's a champion for dogs. He credits his dog for saving his life.
Those Chihuahuas are tiny, but you better believe they're mean. And if you get too close to them, they will bite the hand that feeds you, just like Mickey did.
I think it's very strange that a 60-year-old man with anger issues and an image of hypermasculinity walks around with a Chihuahua like he's Paris Hilton.
The offers continue to roll in. He follows up The Wrestler with notable roles in Iron Man 2 and The Expendables in 2010. When Carrie Otis comes out with her explosive book, Beauty Disrupted, in 2011, Mickey's past is once again put under the microscope. The book is very damning in the picture it paints of Mickey as a physically abusive spouse.
Celebrities are in this catch-22. On the one hand, it's always going to be known that Mickey Rourke had a criminal history. Not necessarily going to jail, not necessarily being convicted, but he has this bad stuff, if you will, in his past. On the other hand, Mickey Rourke, and only Mickey Rourke, can undo that bad stuff. That is, Mickey Rourke can do movies, he can do TV, he can get his nominations as he's done, and he can take himself out of that rut that he put himself in.
Mickey has a sweetness inside of him. He has a tenderness that's very difficult for him to tap into for personal reasons, for his profile, because he still wants to be that tough guy. But he can't get away from carrying around that baby Chihuahua, which brings back perhaps a childhood that Mickey Rourke never had. It is truly about love.